One night, as Amara sang while washing dishes, her voice drifting through the evening air, Adaeze made her decision. She called Ngozi into her room and shut the door. "Mother, I cannot do it," Ngozi wept, her voice hoarse from failed practice. "No matter how hard I try, I sound like..." "I know," Adaeze cut her off, her voice cold as a snake's belly. "That's why Amara must not compete." Ngozi's eyes widened. "But mother, everyone expects her to enter. Father will insist on it. She's known throughout 3 villages for her singing." Adaeze smiled, and it was the smile that crossed a line in her soul, a line that separated the living from the damned. "Then we must appear before the competition." The room fell silent. Even the crickets outside seemed to hold their breath. "Mother, what are you saying?" Ngozi whispered, fear creeping into her voice. "I'm saying," Adaeze leaned forward, her eyes glittering in the lamplight, "that sometimes, to secure our destiny, we must remove obstacles. Permanently. Now, I want you to think about this for a moment. Have you ever been in a situation where someone's jealousy made them dangerous? Have you ever felt the weight of someone's envy pressing on your life? Drop a comment below if you've experienced this, because what happens next will shock you. The next morning, Adaeze woke Amara before the sun rose. "Child," she said, her voice dripping with false sweetness, "today you will help me gather herbs in the sacred forest. It's for your father's health. He's been complaining of chest pains." Amara's heart clenched with worry. "Father is ill." "Nothing serious," Adaeze waved her hand dismissively, "but we must prevent it from becoming serious. The herbs we need only grow deep in the forest, near the Cave of Echoes. You know the place?" Amara nodded slowly. Everyone knew the Cave of Echoes. It was a place where sound behaved strangely, where voices bounced and multiplied, where it was said the boundary between the living world and the spirit world was thin as spider silk. People avoided it, especially after dark. "Good," Adaeze smiled. "We leave now. Bring a large basket." They walked in silence, Adaeze leading, Amara following. The forest grew denser with each step. Vines hung like ropes. The canopy above blocked out most of the light, leaving them in a green twilight that felt ancient and watchful. Finally, they reached the Cave of Echoes. It stood like a mouth in the hillside, dark, foreboding, breathing out cold air that smelled of earth and time. "The herbs are just inside," Adaeze said, gesturing toward the entrance. "Go, child. Gather them quickly. I'll wait here and keep watch for wild animals." Amara hesitated. Something in her spirit whispered danger. The same intuition that had warned her about Adaeze from the beginning now screamed in alarm. But she thought of her father, possibly ill, possibly dying like her mother had. She stepped into the cave. The darkness swallowed her like a living thing. She moved slowly, hands stretched forward, feeling her way deeper into the belly of the earth. "I don't see any herbs," she called out, her voice echoing strangely. "I don't see." The cave threw her words back at her, multiplied, distorted. Behind her, light from the entrance suddenly disappeared. Clang! The sound of metal hitting stone. She spun around, heart hammering. "Stepmother," she called. "Stepmother." Laughter answered her. Cold, triumphant laughter that echoed through the cavern like a demon's chorus. "You're too trusting, child. Too kind. Too good. And that is your weakness." Amara ran toward the entrance, But her hands met solid metal, a gate that hadn't been there before. She pushed, pulled, rattled it desperately. It didn't budge. "Let me out," she screamed. "Please. What have I done to you? What have you done?" Adaeze's voice dripped with venom. "You exist. You outshine my daughter in everything. Your voice makes her sound like a dying rat. Your beauty makes her look plain. Your kindness makes her seem cruel. While you live, she will always be second. But not anymore. The spirits that dwell in this cave are hungry. Let them feast on you. By the time the festival comes, you'll be nothing but bones and echoes. My father will search for me. Your father," Adaeze laughed bitterly, "will be told you ran away with a traveling merchant." I cried the most convincing tears. "And by the time anyone thinks to search this cave, it will be too late. Goodbye, Amara. My daughter sends her regards." Footsteps retreated. Leaves rustled. And then, silence. Amara sank to the ground, her whole body shaking. The darkness pressed against her like a physical weight. She had heard the stories about this cave, people who entered and never came out. Spirits that fed on fear and despair. Echoes that drove people mad by repeating their own screams until they couldn't remember which voice was theirs. Tears streamed down her face. "Mama," she whispered into the darkness. "Mama, I need you." And then, she remembered. Her mother's last words, "When all else fails, sing. The ancestors will hear you. I will hear you." With trembling lips, Amara began to hum. Her voice cracked with fear at first, barely audible. But slowly, she found her strength. The melody grew, filling the cave, pushing back against the darkness. And something miraculous happened. The cave began to glow. Faint at first, like starlight through clouds. Then brighter, pulsing in rhythm with her song. The walls themselves seemed to breathe, to listen, to respond. Amara sang louder, pouring her fear, her pain, her hope into the melody. She sang of her mother's love. She sang of her father's drums. She sang of morning light and children's laughter and everything good she'd ever known. The glow intensified. And in that light, figures began to appear. Translucent, shimmering, beautiful. Spirits. But not the hungry, malevolent ones Adaeze had spoken of. These were the ancestors, the protectors, the ones who watched over those with pure hearts. And at the front of them all, radiant as the sun, stood her mother. "Mama," Amara sobbed, reaching forward. Obiageli smiled, her form flickering like candle flame. "My precious daughter. Did you think death could separate us? Did you think I would abandon you? I'm trapped. I'm going to die here." "No," her mother's voice resonated with power that made the cave walls vibrate. "You are not trapped. You are being forged. Like gold in fire, like diamonds under pressure. Your stepmother meant this for evil, but destiny will turn it to glory." The other spirits moved closer, forming a circle around Amara. They hummed in harmony with her song, and the sound was like nothing human. It was the music of the universe itself, ancient and new, sad and joyful all at once. Her mother raised her hands, and light poured from her palms. "The competition is in 2 days. You will be there. But first, you must learn the Song of Truth." The Song of Truth. A melody so pure, so powerful, that it reveals the heart of whoever hears it. Lies cannot stand in its presence. Masks fall away. The wicked are exposed, and the righteous are elevated. This is what you will sing at the festival. For the next 2 days, though Amara lost all sense of time in that glowing cave, her mother taught her. Note by note, word by word, feeling by feeling. Amara's voice transformed, gaining layers she never knew existed. It became an instrument of the divine, a channel for truth itself. When the lesson finally ended, her mother embraced her, and though the spirit had no solid form, Amara felt surrounded by love so intense it brought fresh tears. Now, Obiajili whispered, "Close your eyes." Amara obeyed. She felt wind rushing around her, heard a sound like giant wings beating, sensed movement though her feet never left the ground. When she opened her eyes, she stood outside the cave. The metal gate hung open, twisted as if by invisible hands. The forest morning was bright and alive with birdsong. But something had changed. Amara looked down at herself and gasped. Her old, worn wrapper had transformed into cloth that seemed woven from moonlight and water. It shifted colors as she moved, silver to blue to purple to green. Her skin glowed with an inner radiance. When she